Russell Westbrook, Paul George, each with over 40 in that double overtime win versus Utah. And check out this full list of teammates that have done that. Look familiar? Russell Westbrook a few different times with Kevin Durant. They seem to have that same energy now with Paul George. On that note, let's welcome in Eric Horn from the Oklahoman. Eric, after Paul George hit that game winner against Utah, Billy Donovan opened up about PG's MVP candidacy. Explain what Donovan's biggest point was as far as Paul George's MVP this year.
Billy Donovan said nobody's doing it on both ends of the floor the way that Paul George is doing it right now, and I tend to agree with Billy Donovan. I get spoiled that I get to watch this guy play every night. Billy Donovan said he can't speak for the other guys in the league right now in terms of saying, is Giannis Antetokounmpo doing what Paul George is doing on both ends? Is James Harden? But Billy Donovan gets to watch him every night. I get to watch him every night, and I think that he's right. I think that Paul George is the best two-way player in the game right now.
And also Russell Westbrook shooting just 26% from three-point range this year. We've heard that over and over again. But he hit a season-high 6 threes in Thursday's win. He scored over 40 in his last 2 games. Is there a sense from Russ that the Thunder, that his shot, it's coming back around and his scoring is getting back to where it's been in the past?
That hasn't really ever been a concern for the Thunder this season. They're more concerned with him playing the game that he's been playing all season. Now, he obviously needs to shoot better and shoot better percentages, particularly going into the playoffs where teams' rotations are going to shorten and they're going to be better players on the floor for longer minutes. But Russell's biggest concern is just playing the game the way he's played all season, getting guys involved, getting Paul George to be the #1 scoring option, playing with the confidence he is right now. And Russell's been doing that all year. Russell's also been busting his tail on defense as of late. He played really great defense last night against Utah. He had a lot of hustle in that game, so much hustle that he ended up fouling out. But to see Russell shoot the ball better in these past few games is promising for the Thunder, but that's not their main concern, even though he has to shoot better percentages.
Yeah, Eric, I agree with you. I'm not really worried about Russell shooting. I know it's going to come. He's going to play the game. My question is, will his decision-making still be sound like he's shown us now, letting Paul George be Paul George? And secondly, Dennis Schroeder's now is starting to find his stride. Is Russell really comfortable now, like, I got to give up a little bit for the betterment of the team?
No, I think you've seen more of that throughout the season, 3D, and I think that Russell wholly understands that as well. This is a guy who's battled some injuries this season. He came into the season with a knee injury. He turned 30 in November. He's got twins now, in addition to a young baby boy. He's got more on his shoulders and on his plate on and off the court than he's ever had in his life. So I think he's at a point in his career where it's okay for him to give up some of those reins. It's okay for Paul George to be the #1 guy. It's okay to get off the ball and let Dennis Schroeder facilitate offense. And I think nobody more than Russell Westbrook understands what's best for this team.
Eric, Caron Butler here. Can you just talk a little bit more about how Russ and Paul George been able to coexist so well? Is it a personality thing? Is it a respect thing? What is it? Because I played there in OKC, and I seen that it was pretty tough at times for him to coexist with individuals. So why has this been such a seamless transition for him?
Caron, you being here with Russell and Kevin and then understanding how dynamic that relationship was and still having some of the roadblocks that they had in terms of ball sharing, I think Russell's taken from those experiences wholeheartedly. I think he understands that Paul George is a guy who's in the prime of his career that needs the ball in certain situations. I think the experience from playing with Carmelo Anthony last year also helped Russell Westbrook going into the season, understanding that, those guys need the ball in certain situations. And frankly, Russell's just a more mature, older player at this time in his career. He's accomplished a ton of individual accolades. I think it's a timing and an understanding that, this is this guy's time to lift this team to this level, and I've got to do some other things. So I think Russell's reached a level of maturity where he understands what this team needs in the time it is right now.
Kings Thunder, 8 o'clock start. Should be another good one. Of course, the Thunder coming off that double overtime game against the Jazz. Going to be a tough one to see them bounce back again 2 nights in a row. Eric Horn from the Oklahoman, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Good stuff, E.
Thanks again, Eric.
Thanks a lot. Short turnaround, man. We got to get it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
So speaking of which, fellas, all right, looking at the Thunder and all of the effort they had to exert to get that win against the Jazz. Now they face a Kings team, didn't play last night. Very young Kings team. Does Sacramento come into OKC with a bit of advantage because of that? Fresh legs?
Fresh legs, young mind, maybe a tad bit hungrier just because they've never been there before.
Fighting for a playoff spot?
Exactly. So they have maybe a little more extra to fight for. But with that being said, OKC is saying, well, we've improved. Paul George and Russ are playing at a high level. They have a training camp together. We still have big fella Adams down low playing great basketball. Jeremy Grant, Ferguson. So OKC from top to bottom, in my opinion, have shocked a lot of us because defensively we knew the pieces were there, but they didn't show it. They haven't got Andre Roberson back 100% yet. So that's another defensive-minded guy. Once he gets a part of the mix, it's going to be very great for their defense.
Hardest remaining schedule, OKC. They have it in the association. And looking at the sound bites for the last 3 post-game interviews, Paul George continues to address that. So that means one thing. That's a challenge that they accept with open arms. And another thing is this is a second in of a back-to-back, and it's at home. So they didn't have to travel. Right. You was able to sleep in your own bed, coming off that momentum booster of, PG going to the paint, float over Gobert. Like, you feed off that energy. And now Russell Westbrook is like, you know what, I fouled out early. Even though we got the quality win, I felt like I got to be better. And those guys are coming in marching, trying to play their best basketball going into the playoffs.
So every year we get to this point in the season, past the All-Star break, and we look out west, say, what team can challenge the Warriors? It seems like the Thunder, they play great defense. They have their identity now where it seems as if Paul George is the closer. Russell Westbrook averaging a career high in assists at over 11 a game now, 3rd straight year averaging a triple-double. Are they the top team in the West to contend against the Warriors if you get to the Western Conference Finals?
So dangerous with the level that PG-13 is playing at. Russell Westbrook is going to be, reckless on the offensive end of the floor in a good way, especially in the playoffs. And then defensively, he's going to take that challenge and try to impose his will on the series. And he's that good of a player where he can get you 2 wins, possibly 3 in the series. So if you're able to steal home court, imagine that. Them being matched up first, second round, whatever it is, and then OKC being able to steal home court a game and then take it back. Now there's a amount of pressure on the Warriors or whoever that is, and I just feel like they're a threat to anyone in the Western Conference.
I think if OKC continues to play the defense they've shown us, the reason you get excited is because Dennis Schroeder's playing better basketball, Jeremy Grant, Steven Adams. And Tough Juice, stay with me on this one. We always talk about role players. Well, guess what? It's Paul George and Russell Westbrook's role to be super. like as much as he's supposed to be a rebounder, he's supposed to be a screener. Well, they're all-stars, right? Yeah. And they get paid max money, right? Well, they have to play max basketball. So as long as they continue to do that with the rest of the growth of the rest of the team, yes, you wouldn't be surprised them giving OKC or Denver, whoever it is, in that Western Conference final run for their money.
Yeah. Especially when you say all-star, all-NBA caliber,
yes, first,
MVP
secondly,
caliber.
So why should we be surprised if this team is facing Golden State in the Western Conference final or what have you? Because those 2 guys have to play like all NBA guys along with the improvement of all the other role players that we say they have.
So we'll